Good evening, welcome, or good afternoon. It's in England, UK, it's about 5:40 here, so technically it's good afternoon. Welcome once again to the Torah Delights podcast. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're all well, and I hope there's only B'sus Tovas, Yeshus, Nechomas for all Yidden. It should be Zchus of Refuah Shalom for all Yidden and B'sus Tovas for all Yidden. As always, we're learning about Parsha from Reb Meilech Biederman. I want to say a few inspirational things. Reb Meilech, it's some of it's he said before, but it's Sedra Parshas, and that's one of the foundations of Yiddishkeit and foundations of things that Reb Meilech talks about. Parshas Behar Bechukotai, the first mitzvah that the Parsha talks about is the mitzvah of Shemitah. So it's a famous vort. Parshas Behar, Ki tzvah el haaretz asher ani nosin lachem, v'shavta haaretz shovel Hashem. You should go, when you come to the land, you should work for 6 years. Sedra Parshas Behar, Shvius, Shabbos, Shabbosin year, Shabbos Lashem. Just like we have Shabbos, the 7th day of rest, so Shemitah is also working for 6 years and the 7th. Kosav Sefer Chinuch, mitzvah Peidala. Meshoshei ha-mitzvah. What's the main shoyish, the main root of the mitzvah? L'kvoya b'lebeinu, to fix in our hearts. L'sai l'siyah chosat b'machshavseinu in chiddush ha'olam. To fix this chiddush, this idea for us. L'chein siva baruch Hashem lahafke. Hashem commanded us that we should be mafke everything on this year, and the only thing we have to do is rest from the land. Why? In order the person should come to the realization that for 6 years he's working hard on the land and he thinks that he's he thinks that he's doing it. Comes on Shemitah, Ben Shalom says, no, 6 years you should work, 7 you should rest. Why? To tell us a lesson, it's not a person's efforts putting into the land that's causing the land to grow and the harvest and the panasa. Mitzvah, therefore, therefore, yesh odon lo b'koich skolosotois ki yesh odon aleha v'aladineh. There's a master over the land and over the person. When he wants, he is in charge, and he says what seems a strange thing, it seems to be mafka the land and don't work on it. B'nai Shalom says, no, let's just tell you a lesson. I'm in charge, and you'll have panosra even if you don't work on in the 7th year. We love this, the roots of the mitzvah Shemitah. We should implant in ourselves that this is a lesson to Saboyna Shalom is in charge. He does everything he's doing, and he will continue to do anything that happens. The hapanosa miyibel hasoda, and the panosa from the field, what grows in the field, smichas appears planting of the fruit. That only comes because the Rebbeinu Shalom wants it. If the Rebbeinu Shalom would say, I don't want it, it doesn't matter what effort a person can make. The Paris are growing from the heavenly Paris are growing from what happens in Shemayim, and it's nothing to do with if the bunch doesn't want it, won't happen. It's not through his work in the field and the vineyard. It's a sibui from Hashem. Hashem is in charge, and if Hashem wants it to grow, it will grow. Therefore, so how do we bring this point out? How do we know Ben Shalom? They say Ben Shalom's Geheißen, don't work on the land. His command, don't work on the land. We listen to him. Nonetheless, even the Hashem has said, don't work on the land, and you will receive my bracha on it. And you won't be lacking any food. Therefore, this is the biggest proof that Ben Shalom says, don't work on that, and you won't lose out, because work on the land isn't dependent on how much a person gets. It's dependent on if the Ben Shalom wants it. Some people do extra shtadas and they don't see. We see people who take it easy, and they have plenty of money. this is the proof that everything is toil on B'nai Shalom. The only reason he works on the land, because a bunch says he should work on the land for the 6 years. That's the command, work on the land, he works on the land. But he should know, it's not to be shtadless, but that's the shtadless. He should know it's all toilet from the B'nai Shalom. Or kashiyamin bezem Meilich nashu tulu b'Hashem tamid aded kemenu makar chaim or birches Hashem who to ask when the person realizes if it comes from B'nai and leaves in B'nai's hands, then he'll see the bracha. And we see, the stories, the Shemitah, the farmers, that this field did keep Shemitah and it didn't have any pestilence, and the other fields that didn't keep, and they didn't have a crop. You see it b'chush. And on this idea, he brings Bisoy the Devar and Biah Maral. The Maral since in Sefer Mala Omer brings down on this week's Parsha, Perek Hey Yudalet. A person shouldn't take advantage of his friend. And Barashi says in this one should charge him extra money. Why? The person shouldn't try to claw back extra money and say, okay, I'm going to charge this person a bit more. Because it's all dependent. Anything he gets isn't dependent on him, it's dependent. That was a decree from Shemaim. It's like it causes, if he it's like if he takes away from this person, it's like the bunch of them, they've got to take away from another person to give this person. That in order it shouldn't be that the person won't lose out, and the bunch got to change things over. If you take every person's been set aside, how much money they're going to get, and if this person takes away money, it clearly causes tzar to B'nai Shalom. He's now got to take away from someone else and to pay back this person. And if a person believed that this is what he's supposed to get, then he wouldn't cause that. He would charge the correct amount. And he says, "Lo rak b'mammon adavarim ha'amorim ela b'chol inin." It's not only money what's fixed aside; it's everything that happens to a person in his life. Yashish ben nafsha, he should force in his heart. Ki ein oden noikif betzboim elamata elen kemechris elam. Person doesn't lift his finger unless it's been decreed from Shemayim. Chol polos ha'odem ba'ola parnasa. Anything that happens in this world in parnasa, oden not maskana kitzur einena ela whatever ena betos shtadlus. A person's got to do his shtadlus in parnasa and save himself from dangerous situations. More than that, he doesn't need to do. Ki efshel odem lishanos es rotzen aboyer laharchik o korv. It's not possible for a person to change what the bunch of has in mind for the person. But if it's not, so a person trying to do that, she'll realize it's going to come to nothing, because what bunch of them decrees is going to happen. So carry on. If you listen to my commands, the bunch of them says, I'll give you a bracha, you will have rain. Kosev the divrei Yisrael ki zeh kal godel b'shpas ha'panosa. This is a kal godel in panosa. Shevechol shetegadle emuna ha'odom emunas ha'odom she'ein panosa tula b'maisav v'keshoynes niflom. Person should realize, increases emuna, that his panosa isn't dependent in his actions and in his keshroiness and his skills. Ela hakol b'dei shemayim gezeis elyon. Everything is from Hashem and gezeis elyon. Ki yiftechu b'fon shayra panosa b'chava. Kach yiftechu by betochen and mun and Hashem. That's how kach yiftechu b'fon. That's how the gates of panosa will be open wide. Yeshpia olav HaKadosh Baruch Hu miyodam leah, and Hashem will give him from His wide hand. Absicha kadosh lo mosay b'hamadama b'nashay. On the other hand, if a person says, as we see from what's going on in the world, people think they're in charge, and it takes a little virus, the size of the device, the cord, to wreak so much havoc on the world. And this is koich v'yotzi yodi. And by thinking that I'm in charge, the Bon Shalom might teach him a lesson and show him that actually you're not in charge. It's better to rely on the Bon Shalom, as we see clearly what's going on. So the Heilige Noim in Meilich, a bekannter vort in Parshas Behar, b'shem Ochav, in the name of his brother Rav HaKodesh Reb Zisha Manipoli. Al Apostle Parsha, listen to Rabbi, this is beautiful. In Behar, Chaf Hei, Chaf Ta, Chaf Aleph, Ki soimru ma noichu b'shon hashvius. Person says, what we're going to eat? Bon Shalom told us to not do any work. What we're going to do? What we're going to eat in the 7th year? Hey, no Nizra v'lo nesav. We can't grow. We can't gather in our crops. B'siveisi is bechosi lachem b'shon hashishi. Bon Shalom says, I will command my bracha on you in the 6th year. V'osa satavur l'sholosh hashonim. The crop will last for 3 years. The sorch beer. So the Reb Meilech and his brother. The sorch beer. The chayrim mashma. It comes out. Sh'im lo yishalu. If a person wouldn't ask, by asking my noichel, the Bon Shalom says, I'll give you a bracha. Sh'im lo yishal my noichel, lo yosha shefa. The bracha wouldn't come. But to me, my bracha, a divrei, and it seems this is strange. Are they going to get punished by not asking? Or beer harav kodesh Reb Zisha. Kashabora haboira es ha'olam, when the Bon Shalom bashaf, when he created the world, Hamid es ha'anhaga sheyored tom, he created in the world sheyored tomid shefa l'tzochem b'nei adam lelo hefzek klal. The Bon Shalom barachamav created sheyored tomid, it should always flow shefa, abundance l'tzochem b'nei adam lelo hefzek, for his, the Bon Shalom created Eden, and he gives him panos and gives him shefa. Avon Kishein lo'odam b'tochon b'boira, Baruch Hashem, if a person doesn't have trust in Hashem, hiru makalko, he can destroy chas v'sholem the shefa. Ubezeh tovin. This is what he's saying. Ki adarabba, im yaftichu b'Hashem. If a person has trust in Hashem and he doesn't ask my noichel, b'vadai lo yechzelai, definitely he won't lose out. But in nishalu, if you ask my noichel, then you can chas v'sholem calculus hashefa. Then this could cause. This will can cause chas v'sholem kalkul to cause danger to the shef, to the abundance. Even though PK, nonetheless, even though Bon Shalom says, even though this could be, nonetheless, the sivesis bechosi, I'm going to give you. This is the chesed Hashem. Even though it could cause it, nonetheless, Bon Shalom says, don't worry. Even though you're asking for it, the sivesis bechosi, you'll still get my bracha. Beautiful. The kindness of Bon Shalom to his Heilig Eden. I just want to say one more vort, if you'll allow me. Sorry. Two more Vedlich. One is from the Heilige Choizim in Lublin, on the Indian of Erchen. This Sedra talks about Erchen. And we know the Parsha, it brings down that the Parsha Erchen is close to the Parsha of the Chocha. Why? So he says, why is it? Why is the Choizim in Lublin? Lom Nishma Parshas Erchen, the Parsha of the Chocha. Why is the Parsha of Erchen close to the Parsha of the Chocha, telling off rebuke? The Choshesh of Torah, the Torah was Choshesh, was worried. Shema Echad Techocha Bezu Tipa Rucha El Odom Bekilba. Maybe a person who gets Techocha will feel upset. But Yoiman, he say, Ein Shum Erech, I'm a schlechter Mensch, I'm a terrible person. Ein Shum Erech, Shiva says. And I say, what's worth? I've done all these various, I deserve to be told. The Zed Nitna Miyad Parshas Erchen. Therefore, the Torah and its kindness brings the Parsha Erchen to show that there isn't any person who doesn't have a value. And really, a person will say, I'm not worth anything. The love of Hashem is to every yid. Ka'av is like a love of a father to his only son. A person shouldn't feel when he's feeling low. He shouldn't feel bad. If a person cries out, even if a person feels he's not well, nonetheless a person cries out, help me. The one shall have love for this. And the person will accept him with love. It's so nice, it's serious, it's shtokus, and is willing, this love to come close to him. Even if the person has done wrong, if Davins bunch don't want to come close, that makes a gross impression in Shemaim. And bunch don't okay. He says another vort, I'm not going to say that vort. Chavivin, and then the last vort I want to say, it says in Bechukotai telechu. If you listen to my laws and you go in the way, then the vort divrei brings down. There's two things which are called Bechukotai. There's the torah is called chayk, and Parsha is also called chayk, and that brings down Beitza Tezayin. That's the lishna of Muzayna. And he explains the intention of the pasuk is in Bechukotai telechu. If you follow my laws, then you will also makayim to ask b'mlochas hapanasa ababagad dam tikvul it in the Torah. He's saying what you get a bracha, and you also to discuss Kishnem gam yachad to ask b'mlochas hapanasa. Panasa is also called to ask b'mlochas panasa. Sorry, I'll say in a nutshell. I'll say it out. He's saying that Torah is called a chayk, and panasa. If in Bechukotai telechu you have the bracha panasa, and Torah is also called a chayk. So people might think, okay, you know what? If I learn Torah, I'm not going to have time to earn my panasa. So my pasuk, I can't possibly devote time to daf yomi and to this, that, and the other because I need to work. So the pasuk by saying in a chayk of chayk is on Bechukotai telechu is Bonishlan saying, if you follow my laws and you learn my Torah, you have panasa. You don't need to worry. And avada. It's not that you'll lose by learning. You'll gain by learning. Through the learning will come the bracha of the panasa. I wish you a wonderful Shabbos. I thank you for listening to my podcast, the torah.podcast@gmail.com. Any comments, any suggestions? Love to hear them. Drop me a line. Give me a chizuk to hear from you. I wish you a wonderful Shabbos and stay safe. And thank you.